Welcome back, everyone, to Life Without Limits, where there are no limits to what you can achieve. This podcast, I want to inspire you and motivate you to do what you think you cannot do because you can do it. My name is Joan Kaler. I'm your host. I am an international emotional freedom techniques coach, consultant, trainer around the world and in your living room through the magic of technology. Today, my guest is Liz Fisher, who is a certified EFT coach, and she is an expert. I'm so glad to have her on the show today. She is an expert in emetophobia, which is the fear of throwing up. I know lots of parents out there have children with this fear, and I'm so excited to talk to Liz about what this is and how she helps people. Hi, Liz. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. And I know it's not a fun thing to talk about, like, throw up and everything, but as an adult, I've had this, most people have had this since they were a child. And emetophobia is defined as the phobia that causes overwhelming, intense anxiety that pertains to vomiting. It can also include fear of seeing vomit, fear of vomiting in public, the action of vomiting or feeling nauseated. So these all cause, intense reactions emotionally for people. And I have been working while I was being trained, a lot of the people that I did work with had or have emetophobia. I feel like I'm a good match for them because I've had this since I was 10 years old probably, and it started with my sister getting sick, and we shared a room, and I was always afraid that I would get it after that. And with every single one of my clients, there has been a childhood trauma that has caused this fear. And most of my clients, I think almost all of them, I would say, have children who get sick because kids are going to get sick. I have kids that get sick, and it's overwhelming. And I'm not going to say that I'm totally cured because, knock on wood, none of my kids have been sick in a really long time, but I don't feel like I would have that reaction from tapping. But when I'm working with someone with this fear, a lot of people have never worked with anyone that knows what they're actually going through. So that's a big reason why people are drawn to trying tapping if they've never even heard of it, because I can relate so well. I know the obsessive thoughts that go on with, is someone going to be sick? Should I send them to school? What if so-and-so said that they had a stomach ache? This is, what if crazy stuff, hand washing rituals, all kinds of stuff. I can relate to all of that. And you're not crazy. It's just the fact of we need to get rid of that stuck energy that's been in your subconscious around a traumatic event that happened when you were a child, most likely. And, then work on coping mechanisms for the future, which is my one client recently who I worked with it was bad. She has 2 young kids. She was really overwhelmed when one of them got sick. And when we started working together, it was like the weirdest thing. There was one instance that we worked through with her 2-year-old, and she was able to get over that. And then her husband got sick. And then her nephew that she was watching got sick. And it was like there was like a bunch of throw up incidents in a row while we were working together. And I think we worked together for 5 sessions, and she had it since she was 13. She was 30 some years old, and she feels she's totally over it. So, it was the fact of tapping through that original traumatic event that happened, and then working on what to do when someone does get sick, in the future or now, or if you're sick, or, how a lot of the tapping had to do with feeling safe and, letting go of, you just can't really, you never know when it's going to happen. So that's the unknown of this, of the throwing up, or when you're going to get the stomach flu, is what causes that anxiety, is the fear of the unknown. So emetophobia ruins people's lives for real. I mean, they can't go out of their houses. Summertime is a different story. It's way less of a problem because people don't get sick as much during the summer months. But in the winter, some people can't even go out of their house. They have apps on their phone that show where the stomach flu is in their town, and they don't go anywhere. They have apps on their phone that show them where the stomach flu has, what restaurants it's been at, and they don't go to those. They make sure they don't go to those restaurants. Their hands are raw and bleeding from washing them. So this is like, there aren't that many things that people can do for this. The clients that I've seen and talked to at least more than a dozen people with this, and they've never met anyone that understood them or that could even begin to help them. So I'm here to tell you that I have this. It has definitely been helped. I don't know that it's been cured, like I said, because my kids haven't gotten sick in a long time, but it can cure this for people, and it has, and I've watched it happen. And from having a disorder since you were a child to having it go away in 5 sessions is, kind of a miracle. So,
and we have to say that individual results do vary.
Correct.
But emotional freedom techniques tapping is very effective when you do specific tapping with someone who's trained, like Liz is. It can be very helpful and very effective for most people. Can't imagine anyone that it couldn't help, but we have to say individual results will vary.
Yes, they will. But, everyone, I can say that all these clients that I've worked with that have specifically had emetophobia have had some sort of relief in some way. If they didn't follow up with me and continue on the path of getting rid of it forever, they have. And it's not just the emetophobia piece, it's other things in their lives that they notice change for the better because of the tapping. So
I can imagine, because, oh my gosh, to have this problem and literally be agoraphobic, not be able to leave your house because you're getting sick because you might throw up.
Mm-hmm. It ends up turning into other phobias as well, which can also be helped with tapping. But most of the time, those things will collapse once that fear is gone. That from tapping, you can collapse more than one thing at a time. So it's pretty amazing, and I don't mind talking about it. And honestly, some people can't even say the word, and we can tap about that too. We don't even have to say the word, and we can tap. And it's just to be able to relate to people that have this and let them know that there's a way to manage it and to live their life is enough for most people to say, I want to try this. It's
what I was thinking as you were speaking, one thing I want to do is just, even though we don't have anyone with us right now on the podcast, can you give an example of something to tap on for emetophobia? I'll let you go ahead and do this, but explain where the points are and explain what a setup statement would be.
Yes. So I would do the setup statement, and we'll use the side of our hand to start, and then we'll go through the points. And you do the setup statement 3 times. So I would say, even though I have this fear that someone might throw up, and what if I was there, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid to get the stomach flu, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I've had this phobia, this fear for most of my life, I'm ready and willing to get rid of it. I don't want to have it be a part of my life anymore. I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Beautiful.
This phobia that has been ruining my life.
And Liz is tapping on the top of her head, then the beginning of her eyebrows by the bridge of her nose.
This fear. The things I haven't done in my life because of this phobia.
The side of her eye, at the end of her eyebrow.
I'm ready to release this fear.
Under her eye.
I deserve to release this fear.
Under her nose.
I'm deciding that this isn't going to be a part of my life anymore.
Middle of her chin.
Emetophobia does not decide who I am or what I do.
Below her collarbone.
I can be free of this if I choose to.
Beautiful. Underneath her arms, about 3 inches down from her armpit.
And then I would stop and check in after that round and see. We gauge the intensity of the fear at the beginning. We give it a number. You can say you can decide if you're feeling it in your stomach, or if you're feeling it in your shoulders, or if there's a physical sensation that you have when you talk about emetophobia. A tightness in your chest, you can tap on that. You can tap on that one time when I was, in second grade and someone threw up on my shoes. I mean, like anything you can think of that. I tell my clients to write a list. Write down every single time you can remember where there was a throw up incident and it upset you. Something that you still think about to this day. Write it down. And you tap on all those specific events. And if they start at a 10 intensity, you tap them down to a 0. And you do it with everything on your list.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's a relief, honestly.
Yes.
It's a relief to get rid of those things. And even if you still have emetophobia after all of that, it's still a relief to not have to be thinking about events that happened so long ago in your past.
If you're listening and watching to this podcast, obviously you are, then tap along with Liz over and over again, and then contact her for a one-on-one session for emetophobia so she can help you release the rest of this. That's the whole point of us getting the information out there, that there is a method, emotional freedom techniques, that can help children and adults who have the fear of throwing up and the fear of getting sick.
Yes.
And Liz is an expert in this area. Liz, anything else that you want to tell the world right now about emetophobia? Oh, I know what I want to do. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to share my screen. I promised Liz I would do this. I'm going to take you to her website. It's like, duh. She has a fantastic website here. So I'm sharing this with you now. It is tapintohealth.net. Here we are. Isn't this beautiful?
Yes, and you can sign up for
Oh, this is fantastic, Liz.
Consultation directly on my website. I'd love to have a 15-minute phone call with you and talk to you about EFT. You can also use my website to look at some of the videos that I've done. There is, on the video section, a session specifically about emetophobia that I did. So if you have any, questions, you could possibly get those answered on the video section of my website. Here's one that I did for pain management.
Wow, look at that. That's fabulous.
And then here's one for emetophobia. So that's there for your reference. I think it's almost an hour long.
Wow.
So I had people asking me questions during that live session, and I was able to tap through some things, specific things with people.
Look at your gorgeous self right there. Fabulous website. In case anybody didn't realize this, Liz she has talent. She is a graphic designer. She was a graphic designer. So she knows how to put websites together and how to look at this. Just beautiful.
Yes,
So everyone, please contact Liz if you have emetophobia, or if you, as in past episodes, if you pull your hair and pick your skin, Liz and I can help you. You don't have to suffer anymore.
No, please don't suffer. There is help. And it's
Yes, there is help. Oh my gosh, Liz, thank you so much for talking about this.
and I was thrilled to do this. It was so much fun.
Oh, just a blessing. And everyone who's watching and listening out there, thank you so much. Please, if you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. Okay, so they can know about what we have to offer also, and they can go through this protocol. Please go to iTunes and rate this so other people will know about this. Send me any questions or comments you have. If there's one thing I am, it's accessible. Go to my Facebook page, Joan Kaler, MSED, LPC, etc., etc. Join me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere.
All over the place, people. And it's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a geek with a heart. That's what I call myself. So thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Until next time, remember, there are no limits to what you can achieve.